I am Couch Coop, and welcome to the most white knuckle of all of the No Man's Sky updates, 4.0. This one is all about UI. I wouldn't say it was desperately needed, but it's certainly welcome. We're going to go into some of the quality of life changes, no real performance and graphical mentions, but doesn't stop me exploring that stuff anyway. It actually says hundreds of adjustments have been made, big and small, across the whole thing, which is nice of Hello Games to sort of highlight the areas that I need to be focusing on. So I've just got to really trawl through a lot of the menu material to see what pops out as an immediate quality of life change, and there's a few things. This update also coincides with the Switch version of the game being rolled out, which is actually performing okay. I've heard no major complaints with it, and I think that UI adjustment may also help with the touchscreen and just getting around everything, because it's very fiddly on a pad, let alone with your fingers. There's also this AMD Fidelity Effects 2.0, which is PC only, and it's flashing it all over the website. A little bit miffed at that being a PlayStation 5 owner. I thought they would take advantage of the Ryzen if they're pushing out graphical fidelity in the PC direction. But actually, under closer inspection, it looks more like a paid partnership gimmick. No real need to get niggled there. How is the game looking at the moment? Absolutely spectacular. It's one of the more interesting games that I enjoy playing and capturing, Cyberpunk being another one, and of course Elden Ring with its lack of photo mode, but very exciting, visually rich games. Now, let's look at the UI. You'll notice that they've spread it out a bit more. It's a damn sight easier to use those tabs on the left. They've just sort of made it a hell of a lot more accessible and more like other user interface or inventory management game screens, and that's just a godsend, because this game got damn fiddly at one point with having to use all kinds of hotkeys to get into menus, and you just get in a dead end or completely lost. This is streamlined, absolute pleasure, and it's going to be really easy for new people to get into also. It's really the discovery tab that's got the most cool amount of changes in it, and the log and mission section. Before, it was really difficult to see what sort of pending task you had to do, or even pin things or certain items so that you know where to go and what to do. I had so many open-ended logged tasks that I just couldn't get to the bottom of because there was no marker. I couldn't look up what I hadn't done. There wasn't enough hand-holding. Some people actually enjoy that lack of direction, and when the game was first introducing content in the campaign area with the Atlas update, it was quite cool to have these mysterious messages come in and sort of work out for yourself where to go and what to do, or even who to talk to. But I think now No Man's Sky is becoming quite a mainstream AAA title. It's sold a lot of units, and I think the people who put it together in the first place now need to reassess and make sure that whole front end is really friendly. Otherwise, people are just going to get turned off. This is the custom games tab, or cheating tab as I call it. The game has gone full arc now, giving you loads of options to quicken up development, fasten research, get more minerals when mining. Those sliders are now everywhere, which is very cool to create your ideal No Man's Sky experience. I like rigid game modes, you know, the die hard, the normal, the really easy, but it's very welcome to have those minor adjustables available to us now. I'm a bit of a testbed for idiocy, and when I logged into this, I always maroon myself, because I would have captured on the previous patch and just dumped the ship somewhere, exhausted all my resources, have no fuel in it, and I'll just switch the game off and move on to something else. So when I log back in, I'm like, what the you know, it's all ruined. Anyway, I had no carbon at all, and so my guns were all empty. My mining material wouldn't work, and I had to, the only way to refuel some of this equipment is with carbon, and I'm like, what? I've got no gun to harvest, I can't mine carbon, there's no carbon in my carbon miner. And I had to Google it. You just go and whack a tree. Back to Ark. But still, I think they need to highlight certain stuff like that a little bit better. I clean forgot you could even hit things manually. I thought everything had to be mined. That goes to show how much I've learned in my 120 hours on the game. Still having completely epic stuff happen to me. These freighters, or massive ships, they come in very low now. With that pirate update, it allows spacecraft to get a lot closer to planetary surfaces, which really adds another angle to what you're seeing down there. Semi-funny story, I run a very unsuccessful Instagram account for the YouTube channel, and I got obsessed with the sandworms, both in the original Dune and in No Man's Sky, because they were advertised at early doors before the game came out, and then they actually put them in. So all I had to do was find one and get footage of it. 50 hours trudging around hundreds of planets. Not one damn worm flew over my head. It took me so long to get the post. 62 views. And it's also been ripped from Instagram. It's not playing anymore. Anyway, standing on this planet, it's had so much stuff happen to me already. What with those freighters flying in, and here we go. Yep, that's just the way it goes with procedural, and that's half the fun, I think. If you knew where these things were going to be and you could go straight there and get the food, there'd be no excitement in landing on a new planet. Now, talking of that, I always like to rush in full speed, land as quick as I can, jump out as quick as I can, get any pop-in, any performance issues. I haven't seen a lot of it lately, tiny bit on that cape there, but no real complaints. This is such a beautiful game on the PlayStation 5. The colours, the vibrancy, adding in those sentinels that put up the shields, they've got projectiles left, right and centre, the different builds and variety on them, and now with this combined storage structure, which you're going to get to in a second, because they've tweaked that a little bit with 4.0. Just briefly, whilst we're on the subject of campaign and structure, I want to just hop on to combat and what they changed with L2 and having a lock-on effect. It does and doesn't work for me. Damned, it's easy to shoot stuff down now. The whole system just does it for you. You follow the target and you just pump bullets into it. You're not searching, it's not elite dangerous, but you don't have to use it. I think they should nerf that slightly. Here's what I would call a random encounter mission. Now, they're not as random as they appear. If you travel around enough, you're going to get one of these instigated, but it was very cool to see that it was a similar ship design to mine, and there was a radio signal about going to a planet that was actually out of the solar system in an adjacent one, so it required some effort. It was a bit of a mystery getting down there. I like the idea of it all being sand ridden. I don't know if there are any worms. My point being, I've been looking into these since the Atlas injection of content because I am interested in how many variables they put on them. They seemed very samey at the start, and when you got to said destination there wasn't really much to do. Maybe you got some of those nano rewards, but it was all a little bit soulless. With the various layers of updates, now you have to do a little bit more work with some of these missions involving the scanner and process of elimination to work out where exactly this item, person or wreckage is that you're looking for. It may not also be on the surface. You might have to excavate with the old terrain gun, but it's cool to see these adventure style tasks coming through with these randomized missions. That's really rich content for me and gives me enthusiasm to actually keep pushing with the game. This particular side quest also led on to me putting down a beacon. I'm not going to spoil anything, but I was so surprised to have a beefed up sentinel jumping out of the wreckage and having a go at me. By the way, I don't have any bullets. Clean forgot to buy them, so I just had to leg it out of there. But that totally ticked the box. We would never have seen anything as cool as that happen in the first 2 years of launch, because these sentinels were terrible. I'm also still impressed with the amount of NPCs that are in planetary structures and the amount of trading or encounters that you can have just zipping around on a normal planet's surface. I'm talking about stuff that isn't marked as a base. All of these important elements are now becoming integral parts of the game model, and it's great to see that No Man's Sky is one of the better space exploration games, and it feels and looks AAA. It's stunning how big a turnaround this is, but it did take 6 years, and I don't know what Murray's net worth is, but he's certainly not short of a bob or two. That wasn't the case after the backlash on the year one release, when everybody paid that money for a game that was 6 GB and about as deep as a puddle of piss. What do I want the next update to be about? The algorithm on indigenous creatures on planets. Pull out all of those old assets and just completely inject some new randomization building structures to the aliens that we find. I know some of the red solar systems have richer indigenous life, but it's still a grind, and those front-end discovery planets need to be a bit more varied. I also completely forgot to mention the trade rocket, which is a godsend, allowing you to trade straight from the planet's surface with the station, saving you so much time. I have been CouchCoop, and I will see you up there.